The air inside the Parker household felt as if it were made of lead. A distant siren droned through the night, while the relentless tick of the living room clock draped the space in an almost tangible stillness. On the edge of the couch sat Ethan Parker, decorated fire captain and fearless leader, a man who had charged into infernos and navigated collapsing buildings without hesitation. Yet tonight, beneath the dim glow of the lamps, he was no hero. He was a father paralyzed by a helplessness that no amount of firefighting drills could ever have prepared him for. Down the hall, Sophie lay beneath a pool of soft nightlight, curled into her blankets like a wounded bird. Her hazel eyes were wide but unfocused, staring into a distance no one could see. The fond lullabies and gentle reassurances that once coaxed her to sleep now fell on ears that registered nothing. Outside, the house was safe. Inside, Sophie's world had become a silent fortress of fear. Just weeks ago, she had been snatched by a stranger, a chilling abduction that ended only when police burst in at the last heartbeat. Though her body came home intact, her spirit vanished, tucked away where no one could touch it. Therapists tried coaxing words. Family members offered time and comfort. Specialists introduced every calming technique known to childhood trauma recovery. Sophie did not flinch less. She sank deeper into her own quiet. Each professional left with a gentle goodbye, and each time the vacancy in her gaze only grew. Yet in that darkness, one ally remained unwavering. Max, the family's retired search and rescue dog, not the boisterous companion of everyone's dreams, but a solemn partner who once navigated rubble to pull survivors to safety. When Ethan hung up his uniform, he believed Max's days of service were over. But at Sophie's door each morning, Max resumed his post, lying flat as if anchoring her to the only life she knew. No whining, no barking, just eyes that seemed to say, "I'm here, you're not alone." Sophie's initial nonchalance did nothing to deter his devotion. During meals, Max stationed himself beneath the table, breathing calm into the room. At bedtime, he settled beside Sophie's bed, ears alert to any sound, yet respectful of boundaries. He behaved as though he understood her pain better than the human voices that failed to reach her. His quiet solidarity continued day after day, a steady rhythm in Sophie's disordered world. Then came the morning when Max approached her with a relic of better times, a worn stuffed rabbit, formatted but familiar. He placed it at her feet with the gentlest nudge. Time seemed to pause. Sophie's hands, long motionless, shivered. One finger, as fragile as a butterfly's wing, twitched. Then another, until her hand found the rabbit's ear and brushed it. Ethan, watching, felt his breath catch. That small hesitant contact broke the veneer of emptiness, like a single droplet starting a ripple in a still pond. In the days that followed, subtle warmth returned to Sophie's shoulders. No grand exchanges of words, but a willingness to sit alongside Max, her cheek leaning against his thick coat. Sometimes she would stroke the soft fur as he lay still, and in those moments, a faint spark reframed the shape of her soul. Meals no longer bristled with dread. Sophie tolerated her father's entrance into her space. Laughter did not burst forth, but a gentle curl appeared at the corner of her lips. Then one evening, as the sun's last rays melted into the horizon, Sophie's voice, so long silenced, whispered a single syllable. "Max." The word floated through the hush, illuminating the night like a shaft of sunlight through a locked window. Ethan's heart seized as he saw her kneeling beside the dog, arms wrapped tight around his neck. Tears stung his eyes as he realized that trust had been reclaimed, one patient gesture at a time. But before healing could fully bloom, there was justice to be served. The trial of Daniel Shaw, Sophie's would-be abductor, unfolded in a somber courtroom. Reporters murmured, officers stood sentinel, and Shaw himself sat expressionless, hands in cuffs. Sophie, trembling but resolute, gripped Ethan's hand, her gaze flicking to Max, who sat loyally at her side. When asked to point him out, she inhaled, drew strength from the dog's steady presence, said, "He's the one." Silence engulfed the room as judge and jury absorbed the weight of her bravery. Shaw's life sentence followed, and yet an uneasy chord resonated in Ethan's chest. Something in Shaw's fleeting smirk whispered that the story was not over. That unease led Ethan back to dusty case files, where he unearthed a loosely mentioned cabin deep in the forest, an area never properly searched. He assembled a trusted team under the cover of night, Max at his side, sensing the shift in purpose. By dawn, they wound along a canopy-shadowed road, every twist amplifying their collective tension. At last, the cabin rose from undergrowth, windows shattered, door ajar, the wind moaning through its bones. Inside lay overturned furniture, empty cans, and a tangible sense of decay. Max slipped ahead, nose low, until a low growl rumbled from him. Ethan signaled his team and pushed open a curtain to reveal a narrow staircase spiraling downward. Flashlights pierced cobwebs as they descended into damp cold. At the foot lay a rusted door. Ethan forced it open, only to freeze at the sight within. A gaunt woman pressed to the wall, clutching a toddler whose weight was almost inhumanly light. Eyes shot fear and exhaustion. Max padded up beside them, his presence a quiet promise of safety. Ethan whispered, "You're safe now," and lifted the child into his arms. They emerged into morning light, shadows receding behind them. Though they stepped into sterile hospital corridors, the darkness clung to the hollow eyes of the rescued mother and child, Laura and little Mia. For days, those corridors became a sanctuary of slow recovery. Max lay beside Laura's bed, as constant as sunshine, and then each morning without fuss, Sophie arrived with some small token, a flower picked from Ethan's yard, a crayon drawing, or one of her own stuffed animals. She did not speak much, but she hummed soft lullabies and gently arranged Mia's hair. The child's cheeks grew rounder. Laura's haunted gaze softened under Sophie's patient care. Ethan watched from doorways, recognizing that he too was mending, stitch by invisible stitch. Weeks blended into a routine of shared hope. Then, on a morning bathed in golden light, Ethan found Sophie seated on the floor, helping Mia fit puzzle pieces together, their laughter a duet that chased away the last echoes of sorrow. Max lay between them, tail flicking in quiet joy. Ethan stepped forward and spoke to Laura, voice hushed but certain. "You don't have to go. This home, this family, your life has been missing something. I see how Sophie looks at Mia and how Max follows your side." He paused, searching her eyes for the unspoken thread that tied them together. "Stay," he said simply. "Let's figure it out together." Tears welled in Laura's eyes as she glanced at Sophie and Mia, then at Max, whose gentle gaze needed no translation. "We'd like that," she whispered. And just like that, the Parker house brimmed again with laughter, footsteps, and the soft thump of Max's tail. In the kitchen, Ethan and Laura traded shy smiles over cracked eggshells and morning coffee. Sophie and Mia scampered around, their giggles weaving new memories. From broken past, they had forged something stronger, a family not defined by blood, but by those who choose to stay. At the heart of it all was Max, the steadfast guardian whose silent loyalty rekindled faith, healed wounds, and bound them together. Their future remained unwritten, but one thing was certain. Whatever shadows might lie ahead, they would face them side by side. What new chapters await this unconventional family? Only time will tell.